Hello, everyone. Today I'm interviewing Dave Parkinson, an incredibly prolific producer who works with a range of different artists. How are you today, Dave?
I'm very well, thank you very much. I'm doing really good at the moment, so very productive at the moment.
So, talking about productivity, you've got incredibly high output. How do you stay so productive when you're in the studio?
I guess by listening to lots of music, really. I mean, there's so much great music out there. So on the mixes, I'm always listening to upfront new music. So it kind of keeps me fresh as well. You can never really run out of ideas. Obviously, listening all the time. So that's a great way of keeping yourself fresh and one step ahead of everyone else as well. So yeah, I guess that's the best way.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any particular genres of music you listen to, or is it just everything?
I mean, obviously, when I'm making trance, I I investigate a lot of other trance records, but on the musical side of the trance, I listen to all sorts of influences as far as like the music side, chords, and I might listen to. Sometimes I can hear a great pop song and hear a lovely chord structure and take inspiration from that. So, I think for production, I do listen to trance, obviously for the production side of things. So, I've got to check out my competition.
Right, definitely, for sure. You produce a range of different genres. Do you find there's a bit of crossover between them? Like, you're getting influence from the house music you produce, and does that cross over to trance in any way or any
Yeah,
techniques?
it does. It does. Yeah, I mean, the house is more groove based, really. But yeah, I mean, some of the rhythms and stuff I do with house music does cross into more the slower trance I do, really. But yeah, that they can cross into each other. I've done a lot of house music recently. That's got a lot of trance influences, which is quite interesting. So yeah, it's just going on tour room. In fact, I was in the studio today with Mark Knight, and we were laughing about. Yeah, we were actually laughing about it. It was like a trance record. It's like a trance house record at 125 BPM. So yeah, I guess it does. They do cross into each other, which is nice for me. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
nice to put it
absolutely.
together. So yeah, it does happen. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So I always find this an interesting question because it pertains to workflow so much. Do you mix as you go along, or do you do it after everything's composed and arranged?
I always do it as I go along. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I just find that it's so much part of the artistic process of making a record. For me, is actually mixing the record as you make it. So I mean, I actually couldn't think of anything worse than making a track and having to put all the levels down. I'm like, oh my god, what have I just done? So for me, it's quite an artistic way. Is actually mixing a record as you go along. It's
Mm-hmm.
part of the art as much as making chords is how you mix a record. So yeah, definitely mix as I go, without a doubt, without a doubt.
That's very interesting because I know that a lot of people prefer to do the final mix down because they get too distracted when they mix as they go along.
Well, I guess I'm old school. I've been doing it for a long time. So
Yeah, no, no,
um,
absolutely. What are your thoughts on like writer's block or creative block? Because obviously you produce non-stop pretty
yeah,
much.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, it does happen. Personally, I'm not saying this to sound in strange things. I've never really suffered from it. I think it's because, as I said earlier on, I'm constantly listening to new music and fresh sounds. So for me, there's always a new record to listen to that really makes me buzz. I mean, yes, I guess you get creator's block, as in running out of chord structures and ideas, but the musical buzz, I've never lost that block. That block had been block in the studio. And there's always been something that's inspired me, that's led me to continue. So I've never really had a creative block, except the situation where you've run out of ideas for chords, which does happen to all of us at some point.
So what would you do, say, in that situation where you do run out of ideas or?
I'd play with some effects, play with some plugins, and play with the groove more. Something maybe go with a groove based track, more of a techie feel. If the chords aren't coming, it's not going to be some epic trance, massive epic song. I'll probably go more of a techie feel with the track, and hopefully the next track I do can be a big chord record. So yeah, you can balance the two off each other really. So
No, for sure. So following on from that, when you sit down to work on a new project, where do you start? Do you start with the groove or the melody, or does it change every time?
it varies. Yeah, it varies. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the same applies to a lot of producers. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can be you could be sat watching a movie and you could hear. the soundtrack, and that's a great inspiration for the music side of things. So yeah, you can walk in with a fixed idea, but to be honest, it always changes though. Once you start making records, you actually, as it evolves, it does change direction most of the times. If you have a fixed idea, it very rarely comes out how the fixed idea that you have. So it's important to have an open mind when you walk into the studio. It's
No,
very important.
definitely, yeah. One thing that stands out to me in a lot of your work is how clean yet large your mixing or your mix sounds. Obviously this is a result of hard work, many years of it.
Yeah,
But what are a few things that you think contribute to that kind of powerful sound?
I think it's space in the mix. Everything has its own space. I think frequency cuts are very important, understanding where to cut frequencies. Because I can hear, and when I listen to records now, they've got some fantastic ideas, but I can clearly hear the mix point. Whoever's produced it, which nothing wrong with that. It's just that people have to learn. But you can see that the actual EQ frequencies, there's certain ways of mixing a track, and everything to me has its own space. I can almost visually see it as on a graph in front of me, where the kick, the bass, the hi-hats, the lead, the rides, the way the whole thing is situated, pan, the whole thing has its own place. And I think once you get your head around that concept, the whole mix will start sounding a lot cleaner, a lot fatter. So the kick and the bass certainly have to have their own area, and own mix point. So it's quite hard to describe, sort of like on an interview. But if someone sat in the studio, I could sort of show someone in the studio.
Yeah, no,
It's
definitely.
quite hard to describe how to mix it properly. But I don't want to start getting into frequencies and hertz with everybody.
No, for
Get a
sure.
bit boring. So, but yeah, the space in the mix for me is the most important thing. Is learning how to space things and positioning, like panning and stuff. Like you can have four bass sounds running at once, but if you just had them all pan central, it's just going to sound like a herd of elephants running at you. So you've got to learn to pan stuff, stereo spread, put in the mid range, the low, the sub. I guess that's the best way. Once you get your head around that concept, and all of a sudden your records will start sounding bigger. So
No, definitely. So for the newer producers listening, like, how do you go about panning? It must be somewhat of an intuitive process, but is there any? Do you have any sort of workflow or method that you apply to panning?
yeah, I mean, definitely. There's so many different ways of panning stuff, especially nowadays with new plugins. I mean, one of the most simple things is the sample delay on it. You can put a sample delay on a bass, and it kind of does this. It's the same principle of pan. It can visually space the bass amongst the graph, and also you can use the stereo spread, which is a fantastic plugin on Logic. I don't think I've used it on Cubase yet, but I assume it's the same thing. So the stereo spread, you can position the bass to a certain frequency instead of just a certain pan. You can actually space the frequency as well, which is quite an important thing. So yeah, so I don't want to confuse people with too much technical terms.
You're an engineer and a producer for a lot of different artists. Trance artists, house artists, with touring records as well. How does the collaboration process work?
I guess it's just a couple of guys in the studio sort of throwing ideas into the pot. Really, everyone just, both of you work equally as hard as each other. I'll have an idea. Whoever I'm working with, say it's Mark Knight, he'll have an idea for something, and we just, sometimes take it on turns on the mouse. Same as Simon Patterson. Yeah, he'll jump on the mouse sometimes. I'll jump on. It's just we both literally. It's just basically hard work. Two guys just getting stuck in. And then one of you get tired, and the next he'll jump in, and I start getting tired because it is quite hard work. Your energy levels do drop. So that's the nice thing about having a collaboration. The two of you can pick each other up at certain points. So it's nice to have that. It's nice to have that workflow. Sometimes sat on your own, it can be hard work sat on your own trying to make a record. I personally enjoy working with people. I find the whole process a lot more exciting, and it keeps your energy level up there. You kind of have to answer to each other, which is a good thing, a bit of discipline.
Yeah, no, I can
It's not a bad
imagine.
thing, Yeah, it means you've got to get the record made.
Yeah, yeah, no,
So,
true.
so you kind of buzz off each other really. So it has to be equal, But all the guys I work with, very, very equal, all as talented as each other. So it's a very equal balance. Everyone does their own part of the
Mm,
thing.
mm.
So
Okay, so when you produce as much as, someone like you who produces so often, how do you deal with air fatigue? Do you take breaks every now and then or?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, it's not like a fixed time. I think you know when it's time to sort of pop outside or sometimes pop
Yeah.
down the pub. Okay, so boys, but yeah, so yeah, don't get too drunk, but yeah, I think as I say, there's no fixed sort of we have to leave it when the clock says this time. Just
Yeah.
you can feel it. Sometimes I can feel my ears going numb, and I can't hear high frequency. I think, come on, Dave, come on, mate. Even if I'm on a roll, I think, come on, mate, let's take a back seat, give your ears and it's amazing how different it sounds. Just
Mm.
half hour, come back into the studio, and it's almost a different record. And I always think, thank God I took a break. So yeah, definitely. Your ears, you don't think at the time, you don't realise, but the fatigue, it does hit at your ears quite hard sometimes, especially on trance, especially on the 140 trance, because it's pretty intense on the ears. It can be quite intense on the ears when you're making
Right.
140 trance. So yeah, definitely more so than anything. So, but yeah, at least 2 or 3 times a day, I'd say. 2 or 3 times a day, definitely.
What's it like switching between genres so often? Is that difficult or is it just
No, no, it's no problem. I mean, personally for me, it's absolutely no problem at all. I mean, I grew up with dance music, and from the early 90s, dance music was such a wide range of sounds. It wasn't like it is nowadays. Everything's sort of pigeonholed so much. But I grew up in the dance scene, in the scene where it was just basically just dance music. It was, whether it was house or trance, it was just one thing back then.
mm,
So
mm.
for me, I'm used to sort of being in. It's just a drum beat with a bass line and a chord. I think nowadays is a lot more pigeonholed and everything sort of fits into certain categories. But to me, in my head, it's still just a 909 drum beat and a bass line from a Juno 106.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's no problem for me to switch from. It's no problem whatsoever. As long as it's a good tune, that's all I care about.
Definitely. I like that. So are you someone who do you work on one project until it's finished, or you do you flick back and forth between different projects from
Yeah,
time to time?
yeah, of course. I mean, I find that the initial track comes together. I mean, a record, the idea can come together within an hour. Yeah, I mean, you could pretty much make a track in a couple of hours.
Mm.
But then, as I say, it's the process of mixing, as we were talking about frequencies earlier on. That is, especially nowadays, so important. But yeah, I mean, most of the guys I work with will do a day, spend a whole day getting the ideas down, just throwing loads of stuff in the middle, seeing what works, and then we'll probably spend another 2 or 3 sessions mixing and arranging, getting the ideas together and stuff, so the rest of the time. But yeah, we do flick between different. I wouldn't necessarily say the guys I work with, I'd flick between different tracks with them. We just do one track at a time.
Yeah.
We wouldn't go and do 5 tracks and work on 5. We just do, someone like Simon Patterson, we would just do one track and concentrate on that and get it finished, then move on to the next one. So it could be 5 sessions, 6 sessions, 6 days, possibly to get it to that perfection. So
Is 6 days like an average amount of time that it takes for you to finish a
For,
track, or?
for Simon, yes, definitely, and the rest, should I say? So, but for most of the guys, it's probably say about 4 sessions tops.
Yeah.
4 sessions, maybe 3 minimum. Sometimes a day. We've done tracks in a day. Some of the guys, I've done tracks in a day that in half a day they've gone to number one on Beatport. So,
Mm,
but
mm.
that's just luck. I say every now and again, it's on your side, so it doesn't. I wouldn't bank on that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just pure luck. So it happens. The more you do it, the more luck you get.
That's true. Absolutely. What does your studio look like at the moment?
It's obviously I'm all mapped up. So I've got the new iMac. Also got the Pro Mac as well. I've got basically got 3 setups. So and I've got the laptop as well, the new laptop. So yeah, so I've got the laptop. It's nice when I'm out on the road, so you can get ideas if you're doing a long train journey or something. So and also I do have a lot of analog synthesizers as well, which I do use every now and again,
Yeah.
but not that often. Not that often. But it's like I've kind of got a museum of analog synthesizers. So it's ranging from like the Korg M1, the sequential circuits Pro 1, Juno 106, Juno 60, DX7,
Wow.
Korg M1. I'm not going to bang on, but yeah, I've got a lot of old
It sounds like it. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of equipment in there. So I've had that for a long time. But as I say, some of it is gathering dust, I have to say.
Yeah.
But the actual main setup is running Logic Pro, Pro 9, not Pro X, Pro 9, and just Mac based really. The whole thing's Mac based. There's as many plugins as you can possibly imagine.
Mm-mm. Is there a reason why you haven't moved to Logic Pro X?
I just, for me, I just don't feel comfortable with it at the moment. It just feels, I kind of feel like I'm writing with my left hand when I use it. So the way to describe it. But I'm sure it's a fantastic program. I guess it's my naivety towards the program because I'm so used to using Nine.
Mm.
You kind of get used to using certain software, and I'm so busy, I don't really have time to sort of learn new software.
Exactly, and I suppose if it's working, why would you change?
Yeah, it's working really well. So I'm just, yeah, if I had the time and I wasn't so busy, maybe I could sort of spend a bit of time working on it. But
Mm.
until that time happens, I'm going to continue with Nine. So.
Cool. What kind of monitors do you use? Do you have more than one pair, or?
Yeah, I've got. I actually use. I've had a pair of tannoys I've been using for. I've had them for about 10 years now. I don't. Do you know what? I can't even remember the actual model and make. I've had them for 12 years, and most of my mixes go on them. And I think it was one of the very first self-powered tunnels that ever came out, and they're just amazing. And everyone that comes to the studio loves them. So, and I've got quite a few pairs of monitors. I've got the NS10s. The ones I've got the BM5s, Audio Dynamics, the KRKs. I've got about 4 different sets of KRKs.
Yep.
So I've got quite a lot of monitors in the studio. So, but as I say, I tend to just use the tannoys. I wish I could remember the make, but I can't remember the make of them. Because there's no little emblem on the front; they just say tannoys. That's what
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember what they're called. So,
So this is a point where we make quite a special announcement, and many people don't know about this yet, but you're actually working on a sample library for us,
that's right.
which is quite a big undertaking.
Yeah.
How did you approach the project, and what can we expect to see from it?
Um, it's amazing how time consuming it is to start with. A bit of a sample sheet because the thing that got me at first when I thought about doing it, I thought it was a fantastic idea and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. And but the problem is I can't sort of I've had to make everything from scratch, sort of start the original ideas. I thought it'd be a case of just look at the hard drive, see what I've got, but as I've started it, I've realised it's going to be a lot harder than what I thought because I can't obviously just go into people's records and take bits out of their records. So I've had to start it from start the whole process, but it's been nice because it's given me the opportunity to create so many new sounds, and I've managed to come up with loads of new bass sounds, new lead sounds, stuff that I never thought I'd ever come up with. So it's given me an opportunity to sort of test myself as well to see how far I could push sounds. So but it's very time consuming, but it's something I'm very proud of at the moment, and hopefully it'd be nice to see people in the scene using it. I'd be very proud to hear people using it.
I think that'll definitely happen.
I'd really hope so. I really hope
So
so.
you're engineering those sounds basically from scratch. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, the whole sample series from scratch, the whole
Wow.
thing started from scratch. So I think I don't know what people are thinking whether I'd sort of go in and take sounds off and use them with other people, but that was never going to be the case. It's something I can't really do because the records I make with other people are their sounds. So, but yeah, but there's some fantastic new sounds on there, and I'm particularly proud of the bass loops as well. There's some amazing bass loops. In fact, I can't wait to get stuck in myself. I've not used it. I finished the CD now. It's not the CD. It's not sample CD anymore. It's a sample pack all online now. So, and I'm just dying to use it myself, but I'm gonna have to wait until it gets a release date. I'll probably get told off. Sample CD as well.
Yeah. For those who don't know about it, what kind of style or genre is it aimed towards?
Yeah. Well, I've obviously predominantly it's more the harder side of trance. So I mean the BPMs range from 135 to 140. So I've there's like the loops. I think there's about 300 drum loops ranging from there, and from there from 135 to 140. There's about 300 bass loops. Same again, all ranging from different BPMs. So there's nothing, none of the really sort of softer style trance. There's none of the sort of 130 style. But saying that, there's a lot of drum samples in there and individual bass sounds, so you could practically do whatever you want with it. You can make any style of trance, but predominantly it's more aimed towards a harder style of trance.
Well, I'm absolutely looking forward to that.
Oh, good, thank you.
Okay, who are some of your influences and inspirations?
um, Simon Patterson first, definitely, without a doubt. So, um, for being so original and wanting to force some new areas, some new directions, he's an inspiration. And Neelix as well. He's a more of a psytrance DJ. I'm loving his production. He's been an inspiration for me as far as production, as in space and sounds. The way he gets the fatness from just a kick drum and a bass, it's just remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
So he still hasn't told me the secret how he does it. So I've been trying to ask him. I will get out of him at one point, definitely. And, yeah, and I think with music, I'm a huge fan of a lot of older music. There's so many great bands from the past, like U2. I love U2, and so Keen. I think Keen are a fantastic band. It's not music. Listen to for music for me, it's a lot more band music. Ballads and things like that. And, say pop music. There's a lot of great pop music as well. So it's just fascinating to take influence from pop music and push that into underground trance music. How crazy that sounds, but it sounds crazy, but it's true.
Because you used to be part of the band, didn't you?
I used to be in Happy Mondays. That was many years ago. So, and so I'm kind of that's the area I come from is that musical background of sort of band music. So it's obviously going to take an inspiration in what I do now. So,
Yeah.
see, I think it's more the emotion of the music. It's not just about a banging drum beat with a banging bass line. It has to carry that emotion and that feeling, that euphoria feeling. Which is so important to me. If I'm making a record that doesn't have that feeling, then I would just turn the page and start again. It has to have that emotion. So as well as the drums. So I guess that's influenced from band music. I guess it's the feeling you get from that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
Oh, definitely. What advice would you give to producers who aren't that keen on the live aspect of it, DJing or whatever, and they want to build, say, a career from producing or engineering for other artists and you know musicians or whatever be the case?
I think the first of all, I think you just gotta get stuck in. I think you can't you've got this one of these things. Making music you've got to prove yourself. I don't think you can just walk straight in and go, I want to be a millionaire and I'm going to take over the world. You've got to it's got some kind of an apprenticeship you've got to serve. You're only as good as your last record. So I think just don't. I'm not trying to say people don't charge money, but I'm just saying maybe at first just try and get a foot in the door and prove yourself. Try and work with as many people as you can, and then your time will come. You have to prove yourself. So it's a hard industry to get involved in. And there's so many people who want to be part of it. But I think you've got to show what you're worth. And but I think collaborating with different people, also doing like a bootleg or a remix is a good way. Pick one of your favourite records and bootleg that record and get everybody to play it. Make sure your name's on there. So I wouldn't necessarily go running in head first thinking I want to earn £1 million. That's just not going to happen.
No, no.
I think, as I say, it's like an apprentice. You've got to serve that apprenticeship, and the way to get the qualifications basically by getting the top DJs on this planet to play your record.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's your qualification. So basically, as I say, just roll your sleeves up and get stuck in, and your time will come if you work hard enough.
Mm-hmm. Did you This is an interesting question because you mentioned apprenticeship, not in this particular case, but did you have any mentors of sorts, or were you all self-taught?
I was self-taught. I mean, I just exactly what I just said then. And I started in the rave days back in the early 90s, and it's exactly how I just explained it. I literally bought a load of equipment, rolled my sleeves up, read a load of manuals, and got stuck in, and just put my heart and soul into it. And next thing I know, I'm at a rave at 1991, 92, and there's like 20,000 people dancing to my music. So as I say, like you put the hard work in, you'll get the results. It's that simple. So
Yeah,
it's,
absolutely.
it's a very, very, very honest thing. So it's a lot of heart and passion that goes into it.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's very true. You've clearly got a number of strengths when it comes to music production. Do you have any weaknesses that you think you have that you'd like to improve on?
um, yeah, sometimes I can be a bit of a perfectionist, and it can sort of hold the project back a few. Sometimes, I think just get the record done. I mean, I could ponder over a hi hat for a half hour, which is a bit stupid, really. So Yeah, that's definitely a weakness, and people are thinking, what's your problem? So yeah, that's definitely a weakness. I hope I don't piss everyone off, and I apologise now for that. So, and what else? I don't know. I think I drink too much lager. That's another weakness. I think that's definitely one of my weaknesses. But yeah, it's a very good question. That is, you stumped me there. Yeah, on weaknesses. Yeah, because we always show some weaknesses.
Mm,
I think sometimes I can repeat myself. Sometimes I need to sort of reach out more and try and be more creative on certain areas.
mm, mm.
So I do. Sometimes everyone has like a I don't know, like a border protection level they go to on production, and I have done that sometimes. So but maybe I can reach out and be a bit more creative sometimes. So I guess that's if that was a weakness, definitely. But
Okay, okay. Conversely, I mean, is there a particular area of music production that you feel most comfortable with? Say whether it's engineering or composing melodies or drum programming, or is it
yeah, I
just
mean, I'd feel comfortable doing just music. I don't feel uncomfortable at all. It's for me, it's like a duck to water. For me, making music. It's not. There's nothing feels uncomfortable. I feel frustrated sometimes when the melody's not coming together like it should do. I get the frustrating feeling, but I've never ever felt uncomfortable. It's something I feel very comfortable and very confident.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
It's probably the wrong way to say it. I mean, is there anything that you feel you're more competent at than other
right.
areas?
Yeah, I'd say my strength is actually probably drum programming and bass lines. It's something that a lot more confident in that. That is the area that I say I was best at, would be programming drums and definitely bass lines. It's something that it doesn't challenge me. Obviously, it's challenging, but it doesn't challenge me that much. I can pretty much get a good groove together within an hour. I can have an amazing drum beat and bass line. So if there was an area that I'm good at, is definitely that area. The melody, I guess that's obviously the hardest area. That to me is a lot more challenging, making melodies. So, but I've got friends I work with, and they're amazing at it. They can just click their fingers, and there you go. so, so everyone's got their strengths in the weak area. So
Definitely, yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Cool. Okay, we'll jump onto these quick fire questions. What's your favorite synth plugin?
Um, my favorite synth, going back to the old school synth, would be Korg M1. If anyone knows that out there. It's from 91 or 1990 it came out. So
Hmm.
I've had mine for probably 20 years. That's my favorite synthesizer.
Yeah.
So and at the moment, my new favorite one would be the Spire. I think you've heard of the Spire. The Spire synth, yeah. So I think you guys do the sample or the libraries for the Spire. I think.
Yeah.
So Spy is definitely some of the sounds in there are just incredible. It's
Mm.
amazing. So it kind of reminds me of the virus, the viruses. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
as far as a plugin, it gets sounds as warm as the virus.
Mm.
So so at the moment I'm kind of all spied up
Yeah.
using that on all my productions. So if it wasn't that, obviously your classics like Silent, which are fantastic. The Nexus, getting a bit bored of Nexus now. It's kind of been used to death, but it's still a trusty plugin to turn to.
Oh, definitely.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but other than that, I guess I mean I still use the Logic's ES2, ES1, which have been sort of dead and buried for a lot of producers for like the last 5 years. But for me, I still, even to this day, I look around. I even ask my producer friends if they're still using it, and no one's touching it. And I'm like, wow. So I'm actually still using the ES1 and the ES2, ESP, EXS24 sampler. So yeah, it's only as good as what you make it, really. So
Mm. Absolutely. Uh, cool. If there's one person you could work with, who would it be?
that's a great question. I've actually worked with some of my heroes, to be honest, in the past. Let me think. If I could work with someone right now, wow, that's a fantastic question. Within dance music, or say within the trance scene. Yeah, I think within trance, I'd love to work with Orson Nilsson. To me, he's a fantastic producer. I'd love to make a record with him. I don't think I've ever heard a record of his that I've hated. I think he's just on his own planet as far as his production. I would definitely love to do a track with him. if you've ever listened to this, if you're interested, mate. But yeah, I'd definitely love to work with him. As far as trance is concerned, definitely.
Yeah.
House music, I'd love to work with Express too. I don't think they're still together at the moment. So,
Uh,
and I think in all genres, I think Norman Cook, Fatboy Slim, I would love.
okay.
So I'd love to make a record with him. It just seems like it'd be good fun as well. So, and he's an absolute legend, Fatboy Slim.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
yeah, I think he'd sort of think out the box and we'd probably just make something completely crazy. So yeah, I think yeah, probably him. I think
Awesome.
Norman Cook.
Okay. Is there anything that you wish you knew when you started up?
How hard it was going to be. How long the journey was going to be, and it never ends as well.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's a never-ending journey, so which is all part of the fun. But I don't know. I don't think you should almost don't even think you should see it like that. I think you should just keep going. Just keep moving forward.
No, definitely. Definitely. If this is a bit of a on the spot question, but if you had to name five of your own favorite productions, what would they be?
God, that's a good one. That is. um, I think one of my favourite ones I've done so far. I think one of my favourite ones is a track called Precious Heart, which is a remix I did with Tall Paul years ago, a bit in excess. Remember that track, In Excess, Precious Heart? It's going back probably 2002. That was probably my favourite, one of my favourites I've ever done. So I was actually listening to it the other day. I was thinking of doing another mix of it. So, and I'd definitely say Taxi, Simon Taxi. Yeah, definitely fantastic record. I'd say same again, another remix with the Flying Machine with Mark Knight. I don't know if you heard that one. It's the Flying Machine remix. That'll probably be number three. I still love that record. Number four, probably Tiesto and Mark Knight's Beautiful World.
Hmm.
That was another one of my favourites. And five, wow. I think I've just done a fantastic record of a guy called Future Antics. It's just been signed to Perfecto. It's probably one of the most amazing records I've heard in a long time. It's a bit of we're both really shocked when we made it. So, but I don't think it's been released yet, so you probably wouldn't know it. But I think it's called The Future. So that's just about to be released. I guess that's going to be one of my future favourites as well.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I hope does that five?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Good job.
Got there.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Dave. It's been an incredibly insightful interview, and I appreciate
Yeah, it's
you
been a
taking
pleasure.
the time out of your schedule to share some knowledge.
No problem. It's been my pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Cheers.